Hi everyone, and a big welcome back to my channel. Yes, I have had a haircut. Yes, we did do it at home. So if you see any wonky bits, mind your business. So over the past couple of months, I have done a video talking about the new releases coming in the first part of the year that I am most excited about. I've done a video about backlist books that I finally want to get to reading this year. And today I'm going to be talking about the classics that I really want to read this year. So I've got 7 books to talk about in this video. We have some older classics and some newer classics. Some are by my favourite authors, some are by authors I've never read before, some are tiny, some are pretty weighty. So here we go. So the first classic I really wanted to get to in 2021 was The Warden by Anthony Trollope. Starting off with one that I have actually already read, why not? This is a short Victorian novel set in a small English town, primarily following the story of a clergyman named Mr. Harding, when a young man named John Bold exposes what he believes to be an abuse of power on the part of Mr. Harding, and the town is spun into small-scale chaos. So this was my first ever Trollope novel. I've been meaning to read his stuff for ages. I'd heard that this was a easy and enjoyable place to start with his work, and it really was. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very sweet. I'm excited to get to more Trollope novels in the future, which I am sure will be even better than this one. Next up is a bit of a chunkier one, and that is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskill. This is one of the 2 books on this list that I am most excited about. I am so sure I'm going to love this. I believe it is set in the early 1830s and follows the coming of age and new womanhood of a young woman named Molly and her stepsister Cynthia. I believe it is a critique of mid-Victorian society, the role of women, the concept of Englishness. You know the drill. So I read my first ever Gaskill novel, North and South, last year, and it absolutely blew me away. You can find me chatting more about it in my best reads of 2020 video. I knew I was going to love her work. It's just me all over, and unsurprisingly I did. I absolutely devoured it. And more surprisingly, I guess, is the fact that I just super got on with her writing. I had a feeling I'd love what was going on in the novel, but something about her prose just worked so well for me. It just made sense in my brain. Reading North and South was just so easy and enjoyable. It was a great time, and I am so excited to read this one next. I actually suspect I'm going to enjoy this one even more than North and South, just from what I've heard people say about it. So I'm beyond excited, kind of hoping that this one is going to be a new favourite. Yes, I said it. Next up on the list is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. So another one of the weighty ones that I was referring to. This is an epic Russian classic following the story of a wealthy, sophisticated young woman named Anna Karenina, who then turns to the young Count Vronsky for a passionate affair with terrible consequences. So you probably all know that I read Les Miserables by Victor Hugo last year. It was 1,300 pages long, by far the longest thing I have ever read, and I absolutely adored the reading experience. It was my favourite book of last year, a new favourite book of all time. And while I'm aware that Les Miserables and Anna Karenina are probably nothing alike, I'm just feeling super motivated to read these huge classics now. This is another huge, chunky classic that I have always been intrigued by, and it doesn't outface me anymore. I've got this. So this is the year that I finally pick up one of the huge epic Russian classics, and this is the one that I fancy the most. I do already somewhat know this story, so I think that will help. Very excited to see how I get on with this one. Could be terrible. Next up, for a more modern classic, is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. So I believe this tells the story of a married couple and their children and various other guests who go on holiday to the Isle of Skye and visit a lighthouse. That's really all I know. So I am just way overdue reading some more Virginia Woolf. I read Mrs. Dalloway a few years ago, loved it, have been wanting to read more by her ever since. This is kind of an arbitrary pick, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty much going into it blind, but I'm just here for the Virginia Woolf experience, feeling out her prose and just seeing more of her work. So I'm very excited to get to this one at some point this year. Next up is another huge one, and that is Middlemarch by George Eliot. Yes, I have yet to read Middlemarch by George Eliot. So another Victorian novel set in the early 1830s, and basically all I know about this one is that people claim it is epic. I believe it explores a whole host of characters and explores a vast range of themes: politics, society, art, science, relationships. And I've just heard that it is a very detailed and perceptive take on life at this time. So this is probably the most famous, pressing classic that I have yet to read, that I want to read. I have read one George Eliot before. I read Silas Marner in my first year of university. Honestly, I remember basically nothing about it, so I really want to give George Eliot another go now. Full attention, full dedication, and honestly, I think I am going to love this. I am so sure. It is one of my mother-in-law's favourite books of all time. She has great taste in classics. Obviously, I've heard so many amazing, brilliant things about it from other places as well. One video that pops into my mind is a video that my friend Rick did on the brilliance of this novel. I will leave that linked around. Definitely go and check it out. So I'm genuinely really excited about this one. We have quite a lot riding on it. Next up is David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I'm really starting to realise just how fucking massive half of these books are. This novel details the life of a man named David Copperfield, from impoverished, unhappy child to successful novelist. I believe that we meet a whole host of interesting characters along the way, and I've heard it described as both a tragedy and a comedy. So we had to have a Charles Dickens on this list, didn't we? I think I've only read one Charles Dickens before, Oliver Twist. I read that a couple of years ago. While I enjoyed Oliver Twist, I do have to say that I do not find Charles Dickens the easiest author to consume. It takes some attention and work from me, but nevertheless, I do find it to be quite rewarding, and I'm also super aware of the fact that I haven't read any of the novels that people tend to call his best. David Copperfield is one that I've heard lots of great things about. I am already familiar with the story, so I think that should help me through again. I've also heard nothing but amazing things about the audiobook of this one, read by Richard Armitage. Apparently he just brings the whole thing to life so wonderfully and makes the characters really distinct. So perhaps I will part read this one and part listen to it. We will see. And finally, we have Villette by Charlotte Bronte. Another Victorian novel. I am nothing if not predictable. This one, simply put, follows the story of a young woman named Lucy Snow who leaves England to teach in a French boarding school in a town named Villette. So I'm on a bit of an unofficial mission to read all of the Bronte novels. I have read both of Anne Bronte's novels, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall and Agnes Grey. Loved them both. She is my favourite Bronte author, will be till I die. I have also read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Hated it, we don't talk about that one. And as for Charlotte Bronte, I have read Jane Eyre a couple of times, and I did actually read Villette in my first year of uni. As with Silas Marner, I do not remember much about the reading experience of this one, basically at all. I was really stressed and overworked and mentally ill during my first year of uni. It was not a conducive environment to reading and enjoying and understanding novels. But that's a discussion for another time, perhaps. So I want to reread this one and experience it properly. I do really think I will enjoy it. I like Charlotte Bronte a lot. I will then at some point get onto Shirley and the Professor with the aim of making a Bronte novels ranked worst to best video like I did with Jane Austen, which to this day is my most popular, most watched video by a mile. It's got something like 50,000 views. Absolutely mad. So yes, Villette, let's make this happen. So there we have the classics that I most want to get to in 2021. I'm honestly so excited about all of these. I'm really hoping that new releases reading doesn't completely take over my life and I can just give these classics the attention they deserve. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. Did you love them? Please hype me up for reading them down below. Also, please tell me down below what the classic is that you are most excited to read soon. I would love to hear. Thank you so much to everyone who watched this video. I appreciate you all so much. I would love it if you said hi to me down below in the comments, and I will hopefully see you all soon in another video. Bye everyone.